So you can leave now the room because we are talking about brands and brand marketing on the net, which basically doesn't exist. I learned last week. We come back to that later. My name is Jochen Wegner. I just learned that I was introduced. I'm the chief editor of Focus Online, a major German news website. And we have on stage Heiko Genslinger, commercial director of Yahoo Germany. Mark Hubrechts, digital director of Saatchi and Saatchi. So he's the digital guy at Saatchi, working with big brands like T-Mobile, McDonald's, whatever. Anders Sund Jensen, Vice President Brand Communications at Mercedes-Benz. He will give a little intro speech in 1 minute. And Hannah Sanchez-Mera, CEO of Havas Media Intelligence. Who is the number cruncher on this panel. We will talk about metrics later. So you give us a little intro speech about brand marketing in the digital age.
So from my side, those who don't know me, I was just introduced. My name is Anders Jensen, as you hear from my name. I'm a Norwegian, but I've been working and surviving in Germany for many years, and I'm now heading the global marketing communication, which means also brand management of Mercedes. And a lot of people do believe, of course, that Mercedes is just an old, yes, it's a very old brand and conservative brand. So what do they have to do with digital? Let's start with digital, and there's no doubt that our life is shaped more and more by the digital world. I think that most of the things we're dealing with, either we like it or we don't like it, either we know it or we don't know it, is stored today in digital codes. Our music, our photos, movies, documents at work, but also all of our communication, all of it is today digital. Following Moore's law, the capacity of processors would double every 18 months. If the performance of the network increases as well, so that movies soon can be watched on high resolution or in high resolution on mobile devices, for example, one can imagine to what extent digitalization will continue to impact change of our daily lives. Whether our refrigerator will do our food shopping in the near future remains questionable. However, the fact is, digital communication technologies are already finding their way also into our cars. All communication is digital. And that's a fact as well. We read newspaper on the iPad. We had a discussion briefly up in the lounge before we entered how we utilize communication and what kind of communication means we use. I don't have time to watch TV. I have news on demand. I have the tickers. I have everything on all of my different kind of devices. It's very digital. We make phone calls via voice over IP. A lot of people, they chat with each other. Some other, they Skype. And you can also see what kind of developments we've been having here during the last years. It's tremendous, and I do not believe that the development is going to stop here. We check our emails continuously on our smartphones. Some of us, by the way, are getting more and more addicts. I had 3 weeks vacation and I locked my smartphone into the safe, and I can promise it was beautiful. And I still know I'm not a real addict, but the risk is always that you always sit like this. From time to time I would like to be a normal human being as well and not always be digital. Our navigation system guides us around traffic jams in the cities and on the autobahns. We participate in video conferences. Most of the time we work using digital files. We download movies and music via iTunes, and we watch TV via IPTV, and we communicate with our friends through icons. The ever-increasing number of touchpoints, both online and offline, mean that marketing activities are growing to more complex. That's why today's brand marketing needs to be smarter. 4 theories that suggest how to meet with these challenges and how to remain digitally intelligent. New forms of targeting, and targeting is one of the key elements in all media work. And if you go 15 years back in time, being a marketer at that time was extremely easy. We made a print campaign, we had a TV commercial, for us we had some blow-ups, and we called that the 360 degrees integrated marketing campaign. Today, besides having the classical discussions about how to create attention, and by the way, a lot of people do not like what I'm saying in that field, but that key question will always remain the same, whatever means we have at our disposal, because how to create attention so that at the end of the day, the wanted desire is also being established is a question which we'll continue to ask ourselves. But, and that's extremely important for all of us, besides, as I said, talking about headlines, talking about symbols and rights, also the question which communication mean is the most efficient to meet our target communication customers. If you take topics like Google Street View or Facebook Places are just two prominent platforms which highlight how digital life has become more transparent. We can like it or we can't like it. And in terms of what we call geo-targeting, you have much more possibilities today to utilize this also in your marketing campaigns. You can like it, you can dislike it, but it's there. And to be honest, I would be completely stupid as a marketer if I do not utilize these possibilities in my work to experience much more about you people, because you provide me with much more information than you, by the way, believe yourself. Some of you know most probably, but we're all getting more and more transparency due to the fact that we have all of these possibilities. And the new platforms show clearly, if you want to, you will find the customer you're looking for. And you can send him tailored messages. When I started to study marketing, we talked a lot about one-to-one marketing. At that time, it was just a kind of a slogan. Today, with the technologies we're having, it is becoming more and more reality. And how intelligently do then our customers want to be targeted? And there is something which is most probably the biggest challenge we're all facing. There is a very fine line between intelligent targeting and overstepping the mark and invading personal space. Nothing is more inefficient and counterproductive than imposing yourself on your customers. So for that reason, we have to make sure that we meet our customers, very logistically by the way, at the right time, in the right place, and in the right situation. Because we do not want to be approached all of the time. But there are certain times that day we are much more open and also willing to achieve information. And that is one of the biggest challenges we are, of course, facing at the right time. Theoretically, oh, it's so easy to say. And I can make a lot of lessons upon how to do it. Practically, huge challenge. And to be honest, no, I do not have the crystal ball. I do not know exactly how to do this. And I do it with my people also in the frame of trial and error in certain areas. With all risks, but also with all of the big ocean of opportunities tied to it. Once we become more intelligent in order to reach our customers in their digital lives, we need to ensure that we are sending the right messages through relevant, interesting, and well thought through content. Which leads us with the next topic. Content is king. And brand needs to deliver content instead of transmitting advertising messages. Communication which does not deliver an added value will increasingly be rejected. I can just see my own behavior. If I go to the airport or wherever I am, on my 3G telephone, I get a lot of messages. I'm willing to receive this and that, and yes and no, and so on. I normally reject from the very beginning, but most probably I'm too conservative. Most probably I'm too old. My 18-year-old daughter is completely different. She says yes. She looks upon it. If it's interesting, if it establishes a connection, if it's a part of her life, she keeps it. Or sends it further on to some friends. And if not, she deletes it. And that is something we all need to be aware of. Content is so important. In fact, it can be anything from entertainment, they deliver relevant information, a serious dialogue to creation or even innovation. Whichever approach you take is key to keep one objective in mind. Target the customer in a way that he will want to come back as your brand has provided him or her with added value. And that is exactly what we want to say with content is king. And that's also one of the reasons why we have a lot of examples all around the world while brands try to make themselves useful with what they call branded utilities. There's a lot of examples, especially in the US. US Americans are absolutely up front of the development here. If you take something like the Foursquare operations, you have webisodes such as Control from Nestea, but also sponsoring of conferences like BMW do with TED or as we do with DLD in Munich. Also some examples on how brands engage more and more in this field. However, beside intelligent targeting and delivering intelligent content, we also need to intelligently involve the thoughts and voices of our customers in our activities. And that is one of the biggest hurdles we're facing. If you work with a car manufacturer like Mercedes, a very proud and solid brand, you can imagine that we have a lot of controversial discussions upon how much opinions do we allow in the communication with our customers or thought customers. So for that reason, the next thing which is extremely important, let customers be a part of your brand. That is what we call an intelligent interaction. Today customers want to participate in brand management, and the digital media allow them to do so. I think that 25% of the Google search results of the 20 best known brands in the world clearly refer to user-generated content, which means it is possible to create that interaction. It is possible to create engagement. It is possible to utilize these opinions in a very solid way. One prominent example is what you see here, which is from British Telecom. They had a campaign in England called Adam and Jane, not Adam and Eve, but Adam and Jane. And it all was carried out under the headline, What Happens Next? And people had the possibility to approach. They had the possibility to make proposals. And there's no doubt it was a long-running, very successful campaign of British Telecom, and which also gave them a lot of insights upon how their customers or possible customers or targeted customers were thinking. However, the power of individuals can also tremendously damage brands, and that's a big risk, and that is what we all together, of course, fear when we enter, because there are certain areas which we can't control. And without guidance, brands easily can become a pawn in the digital world. Hence, it's extremely important to keep control in terms of brand management. A lot of people tend to believe that brands will become less relevant in the future due to the fact that everything is so transparent that you can exchange a lot of things. I do believe that that's absolutely bullshit to say so. Brands are extremely important, but there's no doubt that brand management has become much more challenging than it has been in the past due to the fact that there are so many different possibilities to interact and due to the fact that there's a lot of risks out there. But I'm not a German. Germans very often they love to talk about risks. I see a lot of opportunities out there as well. There's an ocean of opportunities, and we just need to let loose in certain areas. So for that reason, again, we need to safeguard that brand management is being carried out in a modern and interesting way, and then I'm also convinced that we will manage to stay in control. Last but not least, we need to learn how to deal with intelligent digital technologies. I don't know whether someone is familiar with this picture. Not so many years ago, on front pages of all magazines all around the world, we were all told how fantastic this Second Life platform is, and we all were supposed to join in. What is Second Life today? Okay, I do not need to comment further on that, because I do believe that we also understand what our message is. Look before you jump on the bandwagon. That's what we call intelligent usage of it. We were also, by the way, in Second Life, but thank God we were too slow So for that reason, we didn't have any negative impacts of being there. But, and that's also something which we need to add, a lot of interesting lessons learned. And I do believe that that is also something we should not be so afraid of getting. Which means, again, brand needs to learn how to use digital innovations. Technologies such as augmented reality, which is one example, offer interesting opportunities to connect the digital world with reality in different communication areas. In terms of automobile marketing, particularly at the dealership, there's a lot of possibilities which I could imagine which could be utilized in a much better and much more exciting way than we're doing it today. You have a lot of innovative technologies, but you need to safeguard that they've been presented in a playful way. And together with the customers, you also have a lot of possibilities how to invent this and how to do this in a very professional, solid way without, by the way, endangering the positioning of your brand. However, and that is actually the message with this statement, brands need to be careful and not only blindly following hypes and trends in the net, which again means, yes, you need to take decisions for your brand. You need to do this with open eyes and open ears, and still, not one of us have the crystal balls. Also with a lot of management instinct and expertise to safeguard that you at least have a possibility to reduce some of the risks and get more out of the opportunities. So let me conclude on my opening remarks before we start the discussion in the panel. As I said in the beginning, intelligent targeting is an extremely important topic. Content is king. Let the consumers be a part of your brand. That goes quite a way also hand in hand with a mentality change within a lot of companies. Younger companies, newly established companies are less afraid of doing so than companies being established 125 years ago. And that was the last slide I showed you with the example of Second Life. Look before you jump on the bandwagon. And these were some opening remarks from my side. I do believe by having these 5 statements or these 4 statements also on the screen, it's a lot of stuff to be discussed. There's a lot of stuff which can be discussed controversially. Thank you very much so far from my side for your attention, and I'm really looking forward to an interesting discussion and dialogue up here. Thank you.
So, first of all, there's an email address where you can send us questions on stage, which will be read after the session. But I won't tell you the address, because I want you to speak up, and I try to organize some microphones. Maybe they are around. So, wonderful. So, just come here. So, if there are any questions or comments from the audience, please just say it. Don't hesitate at any time of this panel. I wasn't sure how to prepare this panel and how to kick it off. And then one board member of Hubert Burda Media jumped in. Full disclosure, Hubert Burda Media is a 60% owner of my company. And Philip Belke said something last week which stirred a debate we can't ignore. He's responsible for the print business at Burda, and he said, I'm not sure if branding works on the net. And I'm not sure if the internet is really the channel to sell things. And we have a quite interesting debate now. Maybe you just comment on that, because we come back to it later. The numbers give him right. So just comment on that. Is there branding on the net? Does it work?
Clearly, it would be completely wrong to say that branding on the net doesn't work. I do believe that we're just in the beginning of a process. I think last year I was also sitting as a member of a panel, and I said, hey guys, why don't you grow up and show that you can earn money with the different platforms, because then it becomes a serious partner for us in doing business, which means advertising. Because the platforms want to, of course, to sell space and space to us, and space is only interesting if I know more or less what's the payback. However, as I just said, I do believe that we're in the beginning of a process. Some of the topics I mentioned, the possibility to build up a customer relationship, real time by the way, getting very honest opinions upon your products and your brand, knowing that that also has some risks in it, I do believe that we in the long run can establish something very, very interesting. knowing Philip Welte very well, also personally, knowing his opinion, and by the way, sharing his opinion regarding print, because in certain areas I do believe that print will also remain. I have not stopped reading magazines, even though my life has become very digital. And I do believe that print is also still a strong platform for transporting brand messages and product messages. But at the end of the day, I end up with one very simple word, and that word is quality. In the long run, only quality will survive. That means whether we talk a magazine title, we talk TV, or we talk digital, quality is that which will get attention. Quality, and by the way, we very often believe we decide what quality is. No, you guys decide what quality is. So we need to know exactly what you look upon as being quality. And that's also where we want to go then in the future. Knowing that we are in a grey shaded area currently, certain things can't be measured. Big topic, no doubt about that. In some countries, Germany especially, we want to measure everything. In some other countries, Scandinavia where I come from, perhaps a little bit more trial and error. But I do believe that all of these different kind of media working together, cross-media, is more or less, in my eyes, key. Plus, ending now my statement, quality is the key issue.
Is there branding at Yahoo? So, can you prove that it works?
Yeah, it's funny that the comment of Mr. Welte created such a high attention.
Because Horizon desperately seeking for.
But by the way,
readers.
I mean we have so many studies out there around the globe, and even in Germany, who are saying a completely different thing. And to really say branding doesn't work in the internet, in a media which is growing double-digit for many years, and only a part of it is driven by performance media. And in a media where the ad formats are getting bigger and bigger, and where we are seeing that branding definitely works, I think it's completely wrong. So we as Yahoo say branding does work in the internet, and I share the view of Mr. Jensen to say branding alone in the internet would probably not work, but in the media mix, online is definitely something which has to be included.
But the numbers give, say something different. Mark, what's your age again?
Well, I think it was a question for a couple of years ago, actually. So I think I fully agree that there should be an even mix. I mean, we're already focusing on online now, but I think it should be an even balance of the different kind of media you're using. And obviously, research shows what kind of media, who's using what. And I think, obviously, branding on the internet is 100% proven itself years ago. Look at Nike, look at Burger King, look at Coca-Cola, look at all the big brands we use for the years and years in the past years, and for the years to come, put a lot of money towards online and be very successful about it. Either brand awareness, either loyalty, either sales.
What's your age again?
Sorry?
Your age, how old are you?
I'm 42.
So because you told me in the speakers lounge that you think that so few money is put into online when it comes to branding depends on the people deciding.
Yes, yeah.
So because they are too old.
Well,
so it's just 5% of the branding budget going to online.
Well, I think what we see a lot in the market, a very good exceptions there, is that, I mean, it's a marginal shift. I mean, if you really truly look at it, consumers are way ahead of us. Consumers, if they would sit in this room, it's funny, because you're all consumers, but consumers, if you sit in this room, they're way ahead of this discussion, because they use it every day. Travel, banking, Facebook, you name it, doesn't matter. But the senior marketeers, together with the senior people from agencies, holding each other's hands, saying, well, a bit of TV, quite a lot of TV, quite a lot of print, and do a little bit of banners and other stuff, and then we've got an even balance. And obviously that balance will even out the next years to come.
But can you really build a brand online? So is it possible to, how did you do that at Saatchi?
I don't believe in building a brand online pure 100%. I mean, it's about an even mix. To be honest, I worked in digital for 13 years, and I joined Saatchi's because I don't believe in pure play digital. I mean, it's as everybody in this room probably will know, it's about an even balance and how strategically you use the different channels. So, for instance, if you name a campaign best job in the world, who probably a lot of people know, I mean, it all started in the traditional newspaper, in the traditional press. Everybody was pointing to YouTube, and then PR would make it a big success. So you see overall campaign architecture which makes it a phenomenon and not just the internet.
So if you ask the agencies, why don't you put more money into online when it comes to branding? Most of them, 20% of them say worldwide, because we can't measure good enough. And this is funny because you can't measure a print ad at all. You can measure TV in a direct way, but you can't do it online. So what's wrong with the industry here?
Well, I think that the problem of moving money from one channel to the other is basically that when you see how we deal with the money in the advertising industry, it seems to be like monopoly money. It's not real money. It's money that we use to do advertising, which perhaps will have a return, and then if the campaign goes right in terms of sales, it was okay, and if not, it was a disaster. But there's no rigor on the way in which we are managing money in the advertising industry in general terms. Mm-hmm. And basically what we're doing when we are doing budgeting and putting money behind brands, beyond all the discussion around branding and brand equity building and all this, what we're really doing is, I would say, is buying an insurance of being part of the market, be sure that somebody out there is listening to us, and that as marketeers we won't be sacked because we didn't do a campaign this year. So I think it's a huge issue on working more rigorously with the money we put in advertising. Mm-hmm. The moment we start doing that, we see a big place for online media and for cross-media in all these aspects. Mm-hmm. But I think that the big barriers around that. It's about discipline, it's about silos inside agencies and companies. Regarding technology and the maths, everything is already in place.
But then you're measuring the wrong things. Because we can measure, we want to measure a lot. You said the Germans tend to measure everything.
Tend to measure, yes.
But we normally measure clicks and something like that. You know, direct user response. That was the beginning of online brand advertising. Yeah. And then Comscore told us that these people are really, really strange who click on ads because it's just 8% doing 80% of the traffic. So I confess, I nearly never click on an ad. But I see it, and so how can you measure that? And there's a lot of discussion now how you can have the correct kind of measurement for awareness. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about that? Because do you sell cars online, or it's just...
No, we do not sell many cars online, and that is something a lot of people 10 years ago said that in the future we will have a digital sales channel, and that one will just blow and grow and grow and grow. That has not become reality, and it's not so strange actually, because a weekly is a complicated product and a lot of things tied to buying a weekly, and still the most people celebrate also buying a weekly, and that's a bit touch and feel and drive and this and that, and it's a lot of technologies, by the way, also which needs to be explained. You can do that in the net, and by the way, with our technologies today, much better than you could, and by the way, much better than many salesmen also can do it, because you can play with the tool in a fantastic way, but still we do not generate too many sales. We generate sales in business to business, but that's a completely different part of our business, not the majority. However, and a lot of people talk about, I also use the word targeting, and also, of course, it's always important because you're measured as a marketeer on marketing spending effectiveness. And of course, due to the fact that the cake, our budget, is not getting much, much bigger, it is getting a little bit bigger, but it's not getting much bigger. That would be stupid to believe that works. You, of course, have a huge battle among the different communication channels where you put your money. It's not the creation, by the way, which costs us money. It's space. Space is expensive when we talk about marketing, not the creation. Yeah? The agencies, some few of them, earn a lot of money by making creative creations, but space is what really drives our expenses far up into the sky. So we, of course, have to make a choice all of the time. Are we going digital? Are we making a normal print campaign? Are we going on TV? And so on. Okay. In Germany, as an example, we know that TV is still the most dominating media. People watch TV. But who watch TV? Do you believe that a brand like Mercedes-Benz have a lot of potential customers watching TV? Around, for instance, a program like Richterin Sales? Or by Vera? You're laughing, so you understand exactly what I mean. And that is something which also is something last year in Munich, during the Medientag in Munich, someone asked me the question, yeah, but if commercials on TV would be cheaper, would you then be more on TV? My question was no. I was a bit disappointed because he came from a TV station. I said no. due to the fact because every damn cent you throw out of your window, where you really know that you do not reach your potential customers, is waste of money. In the digital world, however, and that's the reason why I always return to the digital world, we have a possibility to measure much more than we believe that we can measure today. We know what kind of people are in the different kind of communities. Some communities even sell the data and market the data, or the people either like it or not. Of course, there's some IP addresses. I always have a lot of interesting discussions with your competitors, Google, about what they really know. I can have the same discussions with you afterwards. When we only know the IP address and who's behind, of course, you could know more. It's of course forbidden. But there are a lot of possibilities, so for that reason, I do not look upon this topic. It might be a short notice, one hurdle, but it's more a mental hurdle in my eyes, how to measure. Because, guys, today, if you see a soccer match on your PC, or you see it on your TV set, what's the difference? The line between digital media, if you take a high-class German television set from Löwe, which is an interactive part of your complete local area network at home, what is what? What is TV? What is internet? What is interaction? Technology is already there, and for that reason, I do believe we need to jump more into this. I don't know if it was a long answer to your question, but it's so important that we see that we're going together.
I think, and this is a story out of my personal experience. When I bought a Mercedes, by the way, half a year ago.
Come on.
Yeah, really. So I was really getting all the information from the internet. And I really have done all the configuration in the internet.
I bought my Audi on the internet too, by the way.
And when I went to the shop, I was better informed than the salespeople over there. So I think you do sell cars via internet, but probably not via internet in terms of I purchase it on the internet. I think that's the difference I wanted to make here.
Yeah. What about the measurement thing again? So I'm part of a company selling zillions of ads on the net, and the ad guys told me, say, you have to look at these vast 2.0 standard where we have 150 signals and we can, track the user and say you exactly how long he sees the Mercedes ad. Is that the future?
I think, to be honest, I think we're really talking about how we traditionally measure digital. I mean, obviously digital measuring by clicks or lead to sales or whatever. I think it's more important to say, okay, again, what is the strategic use of internet in combination to other media, and where's the true value? Again, to examples I mentioned, Best Job in the World, Lance Armstrong with Livestrong, or any other examples. What has happened on the internet, the main thing, what has happened is being filmed, and PR is the big, PR is king in that sense. PR is the true value, how it's been brought alive, how it's getting a press release, how it's going to be at the 8 o'clock news. And I think there's the strong combination of how we see a lot of things working. And that has a huge PR value, way beyond clicks on your banner.
By the way, are there comments or questions in the audience? It's very dark, so nobody sees you. You can say whatever you want. Just come on. Facebook served more ads than Yahoo in Q1 in the US. Was that depressing for you?
No, not really. First of all, I think...
Why?
Yeah, I think consumer expectation, consumer behavior has changed in the past. And Mr. Jensen just made a comment on that, which I find interesting. The consumers do want to build or want to help building a brand. And I think that's the phenomenon we are seeing also in terms of social. So the users or the consumer is not separating between this is my online behavior versus my offline world. And that's exactly what digital advertising has to make sure in the future, that we are not separating digital advertising in a silo versus traditional media. And I think the example from Facebook is exactly the trend we are seeing over here, that we are not separating between we as consumer, between this is our online behavior versus our offline real world. We want to have it both very locally and very personalized, and Facebook is following this trend exactly. So not really depressing, because I think also Yahoo served a lot of ads, and we're serving bigger ads.
Bigger
Bigger ads.
So they have
The
tiny,
branding was-
tiny ads. So they're not really into branding, are they?
No, not really.
Okay. So how do you deal with social networks when it comes to, serving ads or thinking about campaigns or?
Well, we think that conversation and what we call context, which is everything which is coming around social networks and social media, is key for nowadays brand building. So what we try to do is to be part of those conversations in different forms, either by entertaining people, by rewarding people, by making them part of discussions, and it's always a key element of everything that we do.
So I learned that I think a Facebook fan of a product is worth something like $136 when you just count the 20 top brands on Facebook. So does the industry again change, and will we see a totally different world in 10 years from now?
I mean, what's somebody on Facebook? I don't know. You tell me. There's a lot of people saying, hey, we got 50,000, we got 5 million friends on Facebook. What is it? I mean, who's clicking on the ignore button when you're being invited as a friend, either by a brand or whatever? You just click and do it like that. But what's the real relationship between a brand and somebody on Facebook? How do you really activate it? And do people really want to be activated by a brand on Facebook? I don't know. I mean, there are good brands who do it, either by entertainment, giving people what they want, or any other form. But I mean, there's a lot of hollow and shallow ground in Facebook and brands. And in that sense, I'll say to the first speaker, beware where you're stepping into. I mean, should you be as a brand in Facebook? I think so, if you're ambitious. But I always compare it to a good restaurant. You could for a few years, and it might, in the next 3 years, might change its chef, and you should be out of there.
How many Facebook friends do you have?
Actually, we have more than 500,000 actually. We've been on Facebook for several years. We work with social media a lot because knowing what social media stands for, you get psychographics, because that's the reason why you join social media. Again, in the past, I've had a pleasure of also heading a department within Mercedes many years ago when market research was reported to me. At that time, market research was very digital. Not digital in the meaning we're talking about it today, but digital in terms of creating facts, a lot of demographics data and so on. Age, just as an example, damn it, is not a good data to diversify your activities, because, just give you an example, Prince Charles and Ozzy Osbourne, they are at the same age. You believe that they have the same psychographics. You believe that their consumer behavior is the same. Of course not. But that was the way we, in the past, partly clustered our customers. Age was a stupid thing to do. With social media, and knowing what kind of groups you find behind social media, because the reason for joining in is a specific topic of interest. You have something which unites people, and you have that, by the way, globally. And that's one of the reasons why I think it's so interesting that we find a lot of people in China, in the US, in Germany, very much sharing the same opinions, having more or less the same psychographics, and that makes it so interesting to work with social media. So that's one of the reasons why, of course, we put some activities into what we call them, the safeguards. You can't lose, you just need to be there. How long I need to be there, I have no idea, to be honest. I have no idea. I do not have the crystal ball. If I would have had it, I wouldn't have been standing here perhaps, or you have to pay a lot to get me as a speaker. Of course, I don't have the crystal ball. But you need to be there. In certain other areas, like Small World, which is of course very interesting for a brand like Mercedes, but it's nothing revolutionary about joining Small World, because all brands with respect for itself and being a bit more at market are joining in at Small World. And there's several other communities out there. We get at Facebook, again, more than 500,000 people joining in for Facebook/Mercedes-Benz. I think that's quite a lot due to the fact that we are a brand which perhaps is different than what you expect at Facebook. But we have a lot of other very encouraging examples being digital. So from my side, again, knowing what kind of rules are important in this part of communication, we are encouraged to move on, and I think this is not a big threat. I think it's a fascinating, exciting world with a lot of opportunities.
Question? Can we ask question?
Question.
Yeah, come on!
Microphone. Stand up and say your name.
Sayonara.
Hello, everybody. I'm Matthias Ullmann. I'm working in an agency in delivery travel, Germany. So one question is, what kind of data, how do you collect data? And the second one is, how do you select the right data? So intelligence, collecting, selecting, how do you do it? And how do you recognize the good data? And how do you use it?
So I collected on my hard disk because I'm a journalist, so how do you do that?
Okay, I think that first is a matter of structuring the information in a way that makes sense on how you're dealing with your communication. Is being able to understand what you're sending the message you're sending to the market, or your outbound activity in terms of communications. Then classifying which is your inbound activity, or the message you're receiving as a company, and how you deal with that. You have different techniques depending and metrics depending on the channel you're using. It's different to understand what's happening on your website than to understand what's happening in your Facebook community, and requires different set of techniques, which are standard techniques in the market right now. And finally, you have the social element of communications, that you track that through different type of mass metrics techniques that are around in the marketplace. So in that way, you have a sense of what you are telling to the market, how you are talking with people through this inbound media, and what's happening in the social space, which are the opinions which are taking place around your brand and your business, and how you can influence them. And to do that, and to influence social media and the social landscape of these conversations, what you have to do is understand how the different elements in your communications interact. Okay, what's happening if you're in a retail, in a FMCG company? What's happening at the point of sales? What's happening with your advertising? What's happening with your communities? With all the stakeholders around your brand, and then you simulate the impact of these different stakeholders through some sort of simulation techniques based on mathematical methods called agent-based modeling, which give you a sense of how the interaction of the different agents which are building your brand are collaborating, contributing to reach your goals. So this is a 2 minutes explanation of a 2 days presentation.
So you are the expert, obviously. So maybe we could elaborate on that and view it from another angle. What do we know about online customers or?
Well, coming back and to your question in that sense, I mean, what we see a lot of agencies do with a lot of brands is that they try to use, obviously, and some with good success and some with less success, use social media in their campaigns. But once the campaign is done, job done, and leave the consumers behind. And so, but consumers don't lead a campaign life, they lead a real life. So how do you connect with them online, and what's the true relationship with them online, and how do you engage with them? And I mean, obviously you don't have to engage with everybody for the full 100%, but what is the peak of the pyramid, and how do you work with those fans?
You have to do all this if you deserve the client respect in order to be spoken about. For many cases, just by analyzing TV, you are done, because people don't talk about brands, and for them, many brands nowadays are meaningless. They don't see any sort of impact of what they're doing. Can we put the presentation? I just wanted to share with you a couple of charts on this. It's a presentation.
We need the presentation.
Yes, please, if you don't mind.
Hey there. We give them 10 seconds.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Okay, it doesn't work. Sorry.
Hope it works. Yeah, here it is. Can you go to the next one, please? I think that going to this question of if brand marketing needs to be smarter, I definitely think it needs to be smarter. And it's not about only measurement and tracking Facebook, fans, and all this stuff. It's something deeper that's happening, as you all know, in economy, worldwide, and in consumers' behavior and respect for brands. So we ran this study. We asked 30,000 people in 10 countries a very precise question: if they would care if the brand disappears or not. Because before starting talking about the purchase funnel, if it's linear or it's a loop or a double or triple loop, or how to measure the click and incorporate it in the campaign, the key things nowadays is to understand if the brands mean something for people. In a world like this, where there are many opportunities for people to spend their money, and in which we are suffering a deep crisis in terms of how we relate with brands and corporations, we thought that this was a good question to start the discussion. And what we discovered is there are two groups of brands. We asked about 150 brands. There are successful brands that we call constructive capitalists, and there's a very large list of what we call zombie brands. Brands that people really don't care about. If they disappear tomorrow, no matter if you're doing your advertising campaign on online or offline, no matter whatever you do, people don't care. If they don't care, putting money behind those brands is wasting money. All marketing people know that when the basic connection between the brand and the consumer is broken, no matter what you say, the message doesn't pass. It's the same in personal relationships. If you don't trust someone, no matter what this person is telling you again and again and again and again in many forms, it will never pass. This is pretty important because what we really believe that digital is bringing to the marketplace, and digital marketing in the future, is about how to cope with transparency. Transparency is something that is, for us as marketing people, is completely new. It didn't exist. Everything that we know about marketing and communications is based in a couple of hypotheses. First, people are dumb and they have a monopoly of attention towards media. They will sit in front of something and look it like hell and be convinced. They are idiots. This no longer exists. And second thing is an information asymmetry. Brands and corporations knew more than consumers about what was behind the brand. This doesn't exist any longer, so all these tricks about creating perceived quality, charging premium price, etc., are disappearing. And this is going to have an extremely high impact on the future of branding. And digital, just 1 second, digital is all about this, is how to compete and how to create brands in a transparent marketplace, something which is completely new. In the context of a radical new set of values, because people are really changing. And what we saw is that people like brands and want brands to be alive, which are the brands which are here in the topic, like Danone or Walmart, because they believe that these brands are good citizens, that they are brands that behave well, that they treat well the nature, they treat well their employees, they treat well society, they produce and finance their operations ethically. And we believe this is the moment in which we are right now regarding branding and why branding needs to be smarter. Regarding digital channels and not channels, this is...
3 seconds left.
3 seconds. This is the different
2
channels that we use, and you see in the violet line the incredible importance of mass digital media in order to create influence and build brands. So the discussion about how to integrate media is about arithmetics and algorithms which have been in the marketplace for 10 years. It's a matter of discipline and believing that we really need to move forward and create a different type of branding because the recipes from the past are really over.
Thank you.
3 more seconds.
So we were basically at the end, but we take another 10 minutes, I think. There's one question here.
Ja, hallo, Christoph Hermsen hier, Moos und Schrewe aus Warstein. You talked about the crystal ball. Let me play the crystal ball. 15 years ago, we asked ourselves, will internet become relevant? 10 years ago, we asked the same question about e-commerce. 5 years ago, about online advertising. Now we're asking, will branding become relevant or will be? I would like to change the perspective. Aside from the big brands, I would say the main task of agencies will become to motivate companies to participate in discussions about their brand who already exists, even if there is a brand which has no homepage or any internet activities. There are discussions in blogs and other social media. And the question is not how will we influence, the question is how will we motivate them to listen, to look and to participate. I think this will be a subject for the next 5 years.
So,
I get a crystal ball answer.
okay.
10 years ago, the only thing was wrong with, at the height of the internet hype, the only thing was wrong on all the predictions, all of them were too low. And I will predict you, in 10 years from now, everything I predict right now, all of them will be too low.
On the other side, you need to be realistic. If you take I just fully agree with what you said, and there's no contradiction to what I said. Still, we need to be aware of that. About 70 to 80% of the internet usage is search. Please be aware of that. And that is something, because there's so many companies out there, they haven't even done their homework. I agree, they're certainly not even present. Okay, I didn't know that some companies were not present. Perhaps that was Hans Müller and Sohn Klempner Verein. But I thought everyone were on the internet, to be honest. Perhaps I'm too naive coming from Scandinavia, which is a bit more digital than many other parts of the world. But what a lot of companies need to understand, that they need to build the fundament of the house before they start ordering the furniture for the third floor, which goes hand in hand with the right appearance on the internet and so on, but also knowing how internet works. This has nothing to do with internet. Stop, by the way, using this stupid word internet. This has to do with communication. This is just another communication mean. Yeah? One good advantage is we do not need to take down so many trees to produce paper, because there are other possibilities, real-time, quick, and everything. So, I do believe that all figures are wrong. I agree. We need a realistic view, and we'll see where it ends. Only the sky is the limit.
Since we are running out of time, last question, or question to the audience. Do you know the Tipex ad on YouTube? Who knows the Tipex campaign?
Everybody.
Right. So this is my favorite online branding campaign these days. What's your favorite campaign? Oh, we don't have one. So.
I don't know. I have so many. This would take too long to mention them all.
Come on.
I like mostly the film industry. They're doing nice stuff, creative stuff. Very easy because it's mostly with video, but this is the industry I like most in terms of advertising.
Budget.
Burger King, what sacrifice?
For Ronaldinho, for Nike.
No.
British Telecom was
Other brand.
Yeah, of course I like Aroma Web Specials and pre-roll ads, but British Telecom made a fantastic job because they managed to establish exactly what was their target. They interacted and engaged people. That's clever, and that's what it's all about. And by the way, it also clearly shows that that has acceptance, because by a sudden you're a part of it and have a possibility to develop. People are not stupid. They want to be a part of something. That is something which a lot of companies, unfortunately, do not really understand.
Thank you very much. Dear panelists, thank you very much for staying here, despite of the fact that only two of you jumped into the discussion. Have a nice day.